Okay, office supplies, standard equipment, W&B Mason, file folders, pads, clips, stamps, things like that, which are part of our normal operating. Looks like the expenditures are more or less in line with the request for the coming year. And so books and publications, similarly, there's $150 worth of expenditures. There's a couple $100 there that you could probably make up on next year's budget, but quite honestly, we're not going hog wild on any of those types of purchases. Let's see, what else? Heading down to item 511, travel and training. Okay. Those are generally the seminars and annual meetings, conferences. For myself is New Jersey Society of Municipal Engineers, Public Works Association, and American Water Works. They all run informational courses during the course of the year. There was also a tuition line item in the last year, which was taken out. As you see, the original budget was $3,000. It's down to $1,500 for the approaching year. Item 513, professional dues. Right now, I'm involved in quite a few organizations. As you can tell, I've been essentially elected a vice president of New Jersey Society of Municipal Engineers. So these alliances provide a fair amount of information for me. They provide publications, updates, flyers, current events, and it's good information to have during the course of the year. And it's less than $1,000 worth of budgeting, and so I ask that they be carried. Oh, you know what? There is one. Let me tell you about one mistake there. The New Jersey Office of Law and Public Safety. There's a $170 line item there at the bottom of subaccount 513. That's a 2-year license renewal, and it will not be necessary for 2009. So that can be struck from the budget for this coming year. Telephones, no surprises. We've underrun the budget significantly. Postage, there is an $800 line item there because the state of New Jersey, in addition to charging us a $4,000 fee for municipal stormwater management every year, requires that we distribute a stormwater brochure to every member of the municipality. So that budget was carried. I suppose there is an option potentially for putting it under some capital authorization for stormwater that's related. However, it is an annual operating issue and probably makes sense to maintain it as things go.
And that is not something that we can put it in our electric bill to save that postage?
We've always kind of talked about it and wanted it to happen. Let me say that much. And more than that, I can't tell you why it can't go out in electrical water.
Two issues. One, normally if any stuffer, people tend to throw it out and don't read it. And if it's important information, they read the bill and the amount and don't go really beyond that. Mm-hmm. And the second part is the schedule for the stuffer is already pre-booked 2 years ahead. So we have, everybody, the Friends of the Shade Tree, the Madison Public Library, the American Red Cross, Thursday Morning Club. These are all preordained slots where they're already traditionally been the inserts. So we'd have to bump someone for that.
In terms of staffing, I believe they're not 100% finished yet, and we'll find out what the salary totals are when we get that information. But it's fair to say we're trying to carry forward what we have, and our staffing is generally pretty light in relation to many other municipalities, and so we'd like to certainly maintain that if possible. All said and done, the engineering proposal is as it is with certain amendments. If there's any questions or comments, I'll be happy to do what I can to answer them at this point.
Well, the one observation, Bob, which we've met on and with Robert and our personnel director would be there's a recent resignation of an administrative officer, and the goal is to, we would feel an essential position, but the goal is to fill it internally and then with that promotion from the internal candidate, abolish the position that person would vacate. So the net savings, there would be one position less in the borough, and the salary of that person, if it's an internal candidate, will be less than the salary this person is leaving us at. So there'll be a gross net savings to the borough, but we feel it's a position in order for the boards to function and for the engineer to have secretarial and clerical support, an important position to fill. But we're going to get, hopefully, some savings at the same time.
And this, the paper we're looking at does not reflect what you just said, correct?
No, the paper reflects, well, this person turned in a resignation last Thursday or Friday, unexpectedly. So,
Budgetarily, there's a potential for some savings.
Okay.
Because when you come down, you look at this budget, that's where your increase is. I mean, we can talk about
Salary.
$500 here and $1,500 there, but it's personnel and fringe benefits. And
The services is something that you can work also to try to make ends meet.
yeah, understood, but you're consistent, if I understand this, while there was a deviation in services from what was originally budgeted in '08, your requests, in effect, for '09 are consistent with what you actually expended in '08, if I'm reading this chart right.
That's correct.
Where we have meaningful deviation in your budget is in personnel and fringe benefits. And I mean, that's where the numbers are, and I guess I'd like to understand better how and why.
Why that is.
Right. I mean, I candidly, Bob,
You know,
your reading material, $500 item, I'm not standing up and taking notice. But I look down here, and that's where I see your play. 178 to 191, and 50 to 73 on personnel and fringe benefits. And in my sense, I mean, what kind of, was last year a part year for some employee in that department that would create that deviation? How do we see that bump on personnel? Did we reallocate people more accurately?
well, two issues. One is 3 of the 4 employees other than, 3 other than the engineer are union employees with a contractual obligation, 4% raise as of January 1st of '09, based on a prior negotiation.
Right.
$1,000 increment on July 1st, based on a satisfactory evaluation in April. So that's reflected in there. And then the fringe rate is, you were given a package as to how we computed the fringe rate. Within that is obviously a huge bump up on the pension bill handed to us, and a 27.5% increase in our health benefits. Those are 2 major factors. And then the third would be the allocations that Robert has. And I see he's itching to talk. I'll yield to Robert.
John, the fringe benefit rate for non-police and fire went from 27.84% in 2008 to 38.22.
10%.
Yes.
Thanks. And, Robert, if I told you I wanted you to get, or Bob, I told you I wanted you to cut this budget by, hypothetically, 10%, what do you got?
Can you pass this around to them?
You don't have to answer me now. I mean, I want you to, we're gonna see you one more time, I would think, on this issue. I want you to think in those terms.
26,000.
Thanks.
Jeannie?
Without an across-the-board freeze on salaries and wages, then I think you're looking at trying to pinch services and expenses. Yeah, and I know it's a difficult thing to balance.
Sure.
But we're certainly willing to do whatever's necessary to maintain the operations of the department.
And I'm not picking on you. You can tell I'm winding up to go after everybody, right?